Hi, everybody. Chris Giles here from the factory. Hope you're doing fantastic. Talk to you today about helping your customer to buy. This is a program I do for companies when I go into their office and I speak to them. It usually takes about an hour, but I'm going to break it down for you here in about 18 to 20 minutes. I want you to pay attention at the idea of how we're helping our customer to buy and why selling really doesn't work sometimes. The customer wants to get what they need. In many ways, it starts out with using a compass, helping them to find the destination they're looking for by knowing your product and knowing what they need. Companies like Louis Vuitton have been around since 1854 and have identified the selling to their customers so effectively. They've done it with their brand. They've done it the way they organize their stores, their staff, and everything. The sell is completely encompassing around everything else, and it makes it so that the customer knows what they're buying. That's what we're all looking to have happen, to build that level of success that'll last for generations. And we can do it. But we got to know what the role of sales is. In your business, it might be a little bit different. It could be generating opportunities for people within your organization to talk to them or do a demo. Or it could be making the final sell. But the role of sales in the end is to build revenue by building relationships with people that need your product. It therefore makes sure you have to understand a lot of dimensions about that, and most importantly, the customer. The role of sales is to help your customer along, to lift them up through the journey, to be a part of their process, to add to their profits by what you do and how you do it. If you think about it logically, whenever you're helping somebody up, you feel good and they feel good. And the way you do that, in most ways, is by educating and assisting our customers. That's what we go to every day to think about, helping our customer up by educating about our product and assisting them along their journey. But what's really important is we understand that sales process is not as simple as we make a hello to a customer, we talk about the sale information, they send us over money. It just doesn't work that way. Wish it would, but it doesn't. It's fairly challenging. But in the end, what we really need is we need to have knowledge. We need to have knowledge built up before we make the hello, which is a part of the sale. Therefore, with a back and forth curve that therefore leads to the exchange of money if they get the benefit. When you think about sales from a process for the customer, if it works out famously for them, they get exactly what they need and they get it when they need it. And if it doesn't, it actually impedes their success. So this knowledge piece is the most important part. The more you know, the more effective you are for them and the more effective you are for your organization. And in the end, the more effective the knowledge is, the more you can help everybody. So we got to build knowledge at all times, whether you're new to an organization, whether there's a new product, or whether you've been there for 10 years. It's your job to know as much as you can about what's happening. Let's talk about how to break that down. Because if we can build that knowledge, we'll have something that'll help us to help our customer more effectively, helping them to buy. So the most important thing you must know is you must know why you exist as a company. Why were you created? What was the ownership thought when it was first created? How has it evolved? How do they talk about your customer? How do your customers pay you or reciprocate you for your actions? This why you exist really defines the most important thing. Simon Sinek talked about it. The why of a company becomes the most important thing. The what we do, the how we do it. These are important activities, but the why you exist is the key. So if you know why you exist, you therefore know how you interact with that customer. And if you know how you interact, you must know what tools are useful and which ones are not. In this case, we have 3 types of pliers: channel lock, electrical, and needle nose, each one performing a different function. It's important you know what you do for your customer and how you do it. That can be gained by understanding through the training you probably receive, or for that matter, how customers use you. Spending more time understanding how a customer interacts with you, coupled with why you exist, makes it important for you to be able to have those discussions. But before we do that, we should probably be aware of what that customer is afraid of, and maybe even why they're afraid of it. But they're afraid of a lot. And they're afraid of a lot because in many ways, too many times people are selling them things that are not providing them benefit. That's why I said helping your customer to buy really does make a difference. And you'd say, why would they be afraid of nothing or too much growth? It's because they're worried that maybe they can't handle it, or it's the wrong time, or it's the wrong situation, or they don't understand that success is not mired in all these problems. It's just your product will bring them success with these simple reasons based on these facts that have happened in the past. Again, from the knowledge. But if you expect your customer to follow you around that corner and follow the green line, and please don't step off the line, it's really simple, I'm going to assure you they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that because they're uncomfortable. Their obligation is to their company, their people, their family, and their obligation is not to you. Your obligation is to them, as a matter of fact. So you must therefore know, and now know, what it matters to them. To see the forest through the trees. To understand what matters to them and the depths of what it matters to them will help you, therefore, to fit your product in and be able to build that value proposition. It's important you know what your product does, but it's important you know how it matters to them. It may differ. Depending on their circumstance, the product, the situation, everything matters to them, matters to you, really, doesn't it? But there's 3 key things that are really important when you're thinking about this. That's the financial situation. There's going to be a sell to their customer, or they're going to pay you. At some point in time, finances must be a part of every decision when it comes to selling. It's important to recognize that. You're also going to have to recognize that they're going to impact their team or their family or their organization, and they're going to think about it like that. They're going to want to be careful. They don't want to be the person that impacted it negatively. And the third thing is going to worry about themselves and how this impacts the organization from their perspective, or for that matter, how it impacts them. They always make a difference. People buy, companies pay. But there's always somebody else as well. There's influencers that exist within the organization. It's important as you're going to manage and matter to that customer that you understand who the influencers are, again, from experience. In most decisions that are made by people, there is somebody else that influences that decision. And a better understanding of who those people within organizations, possibly involving them in the meeting process well before it becomes decision time, would be important. But also it's important you know whenever you're thinking about how your product impacts them, that you must know what decision drivers you're going to be going after, how you're going to make them money, save them money, or make them better. You want to be able to define these elements. When you make them money, you must be able to define where it's going to tangibly happen, and you must be able to prove, and you must be able to hold yourself accountable to it with some form of reporting. To save the money, same requirements are there to make sure you understand where it's happening, make proof of it, as well as provide an autopsy if there's any issues. But what's most important about saving money, they're going to expect that, and they may go look for that elsewhere as well. So let's be careful as you're selling that you're able to sell your value proposition correctly and why you will help them the most. And when you make them better, you must be able to show them how it's going to be able to help them make them more money or save them money. It's important when you arrive at the opportunity to talk to your customer that these elements are fully refined. They may differ within your company. They may differ within your industry. They may differ by the situation you're in. But it's important that you show understanding of how the decision driver that you're talking about will impact them and how it will impact them. If you've done all these things, you're moving along that path, the knowledge base is building. But you must be aware of the external influences that exist because it is like a tug of war. You seem to get 2 steps forward, and then you're drawn backwards by something else you weren't aware that existed. They're as follows. A manager may have some input as to the way they want it done. Suppliers, contracts that are currently in place. It's the wrong time for us at this time. Our competitor has been doing this for years. Why would I change? I'm not certain the employees are ready for this at this point in time. The myriad of excuses they will have of why this can't be done should be known, should be understood. And therefore, you should be able to have that rebuttal right there for it. Or you should have met the manager. Or maybe you would have discussed these components as you're going through the process. Leaving these out to the key components doesn't really work. Building that knowledge base from experience makes the biggest difference. So we understand how we want to do it to build that knowledge base. And as you see, it builds upon itself. By understanding why we exist as an organization, that's a fantastic way to do anything in this world. And when we know something about ourselves or something about somebody else, we are very knowledgeable. And it makes it enjoyable for people to enjoy the conversation with us, and we're helpful to them. We know the role we play. We're in a situation. In a sporting role, it'd be the same situation, or a business role. It's important you know exactly what you do and how you do it, how it's impacted other people. You know the fears that exist for them and how they're going to react to those fears, and maybe how people have overcome those fears from your organization or within your industry. You know what elements are going to matter to them, what's going to help them to make those decisions, and who else is an influencer in the situation. And you understand the decision driver, whether you make them money, you save them money, or you make them better. And there's one final thing, of course. We've talked about it, we've touched on it, but the financial picture is key. How much do they have to spend? How much impact will you have? And what is the ROI for them and for you? It must be a win-win. You must help them. Everything we do in sales or business is generally about creating something better, whether to improve a product, create a better situation, and whether that value is measured in tangible dollars or time. It must be measured. So the financial picture finishes out what our knowledge base is. And if you think about that, a lot of that stuff you can have before you even get onto a sales call and know it and build it. Certainly the ones who are experienced, been there for a long time, they know this information fairly quickly. Best thing I'd recommend is you start talking to them. So how do we want to enhance that knowledge? Well, that's what I started with right there, is to talk to people within your organization, to make sure you know where your company fits within the industry, what your competitors are doing, what's happening within your network. Know the groups within your LinkedIn network, as well as attend networking events that allow you to better understand what other people are doing and how you can gain from it. But the most important thing is, with that information, you must file it. You must file it correctly. You must always be able to access it and be able to remember. You must have a strong understanding of what you say before you say it. So therefore, making sure that you use everything you have at your availability is important, but also say, let me get back to you on that. Let me check is also a great value. But let's talk about it right now. Remember, we're just building that knowledge base. So we know a lot, but we don't have to know it all. So we make the call. We've got the knowledge base. We've done it. We've said hello, and the concept goes back and forth, and the money gets there. Well, what is that process? Because we've talked about building all this knowledge. How do we go into that customer with the philosophy we want them to realize? That say, I've got tons of information to tell you. Let me tell you. No, that's not how we operate at all. We are ready to serve the customer, just like the waiter on the screen. We are ready to assist them with whatever they need. We know what we have, and we want them to enjoy the experience. We're not ready to sell them on it, but rather to serve their needs. We're going to do that by building a strong understanding, Mr. Customer, of exactly what you do and how you do it, so I can make sure that what it is that I want to solve for you is exactly what I thought out about. And if I do that, my message as I speak to you about the product will touch on that knowledge base, and will build along the concept of I'm making sure that the ROI that we talk about at the beginning of our conversation through our message is exactly what happens. And for many ways, I recommend when you talk to your customer, you're building your message, treat it like a job interview. And if you do a good job in the job interview, that customer can be there for you for life. You can have fun with them, you can enjoy them, and you will help them, because what you will be doing for them is building an integration with them. Just like the Lego blocks. If you do a good job for your customers, the integration is automatic and it clicks together just like the Lego block goes click. Solid behavior by you helps your customer become a more effective customer to their customers, as well as all the way down the line for all their employees and all their team. The integration becomes key. You become part of the chain. And if you do that well, you build a customer friendship relationship. The opportunity to be able to impact people positively is exactly what we go into sales for, and this is what we get. The chance to be able to share what we have to help them to become more effective. So as you go forward, make sure you work on building your knowledge base. Make sure you understand why you exist as an organization and what you do. You understand how you're able to help yourselves to be able to build a better solution for your customers. Bring back better information, helps your team to become more effective. Understand those fears and be ready for those obstacles. See those challenges as opportunities to educate. Know what matters to them by caring about them as people and caring about the results you're going to bring from your product. Speak eloquently about how your business will either save them money, make them better, or for that matter, make them money. And when you talk about the ROI, hold yourself accountable. You'll watch. It'll make a big difference. This was just a short little presentation on helping your customer to buy. I do these with teams, as well as I get together with single individuals as large groups, and we try to build the concept of making the process of sales of building relationships. If you're interested in doing something with your team, please reach out to me. I'll set something up. But most importantly, as you go forward, help your customer to buy. In every situation you deal in, there's a winner and there's a loser. If it's done correctly, you all feel like winners. If it's done incorrectly, we can all feel like losers. With selling, if done correctly, helping your customer to buy, they win, you win. My name is Chris Dallas in the Factory. I look forward to helping you as you go forward in your life. Thanks for allowing me to make a difference for you. We all have the power to impact. Let somebody know in your world how they made a difference for you. It'll make a difference for you. Wishing you the best of days. Carpe diem.